Now, what you may have realised from watching those two short pieces of film, is that historically in this country, the care system has not had a great reputation for protecting young, vulnerable children in the care system. And because of the things that happened in the past, I'm going to explain about how we protect them in the care system today. First of all, you and anybody will need to have a DBS, a disclosure and barring service check, before you can start working in the care system. This may take some time depending on where you've been in your past. Everybody has to have this done. What the disclosure and barring service check is looking for is historic abuse or harm or criminal activity about any individual that applies for a job in the care sector. Now, the problem with the DBS is that it only finds out what people have been caught doing. If you are a child abuser, molester, rapist, watching child pornography or whatever, but you have not yet been caught, the DBS will show up nothing about you or anybody that has that frame of mind. And because it doesn't show up anything, this is the flaw in the DBS check system. Because the purpose of the DBS check is to stop abusers gaining access into the care system. Why are abusers trying to get jobs in the care system? Well, the reason they want jobs in the care system is to give them access to vulnerable young people. Well, the DBS check does its thing, but if it doesn't pick up something about somebody because they've never been caught and it's not been recorded, this is the thing that allows abusers into the care system and gives them access to vulnerable young people. So in answer to the question, do we currently have abusers hidden and nestled in the UK care system? The answer is yes. So we're going to look at how we detect these people, and two main ways. First of all, you as a member of staff, you are working with another colleague and you see or hear them doing something or saying something that isn't appropriate. You have a duty of care to report that person to your line manager. Now, some staff don't like doing that, but the law states that you have a duty of care. And if a person is found to be harming and abusing people in the care system, and the police go to prosecute this person, they also backtrack to find out if there were other people who knew about it who did not report it. And if that's the case, then the people who did not report it, they are also prosecuted. Reporting people who are abusive to people in the care system is called whistleblowing, and it's a duty of care. Some staff don't want to whistleblow on their colleagues because they don't want to get involved, because it's their friends, because they don't want to become a target themselves. But all those reasons are not valid. If you come across abuse in the care system, you have to report it. And the reporting procedure is it's usually your line manager first who you report to. You may not feel that you can report to your line manager if it's the line manager themselves that are involved in the abuse, in which case you have to go above their head, perhaps to the director level of the company. And if you can't go there because you feel they're involved, you now have to go external to the local safeguarding board or even to the police, but you have to report. This is whistleblowing, reporting people that you see in the care system that you work with that are abusive, acting inappropriately, and even saying inappropriate things to young people. The other way we find out about abuse in the care system is a young person directly telling you what has been happening to them at the hands of another member of staff, perhaps. This disclosure may start something like this. Can I tell you something? Says the young person to you. But can you promise me that you will not tell anybody? Now, you may be tempted to appease them and tell them that you won't tell anybody in order to get the story out and help them. But this is really just lying to them. We have to be straight up front and tell them that if they're going to tell you anything about anybody harming them or hurting them, then you have to safeguard them and you have to report it. Now, this gives the young person two options. One, they may withdraw and say, actually, it doesn't matter. I won't say anything. I'm not ready to say anything yet. And if that is the case, you have to report that they have something to get off their chest, but they're not feeling safe or ready yet to do so. The other choice the young person has is that they will go ahead and tell you, which happens in most cases anyway. So now you're into a disclosure conversation. This disclosure conversation may take 5 minutes or 10 minutes, but the young person is telling you what is going on and what is happening to them and who is doing this to them. How should you react to this? Well, number one, you should not put any words in their mouth or try and corrupt their story with your own influence. Number two, let them speak. Don't interrupt, just let them pour their story out to you. Number three, your reaction. Don't act shocked, horrified, upset. Your body language should just be neutral. Acting shocked and horrified may very well cause them to stop, and then that's the end of that opportunity that we've had to help that young person. Make sure you remove them from danger. For example, if they've told you that a member of staff is abusing them, and you know it's the next member of staff coming in after you to relieve you from shift, well then you have to, in your reporting of this, make sure that you highlight that it's the next member of staff, because they cannot be alone with that member of staff now. Also, go from a standpoint of belief. They may tell you that the person is abusing them is somebody that you consider to be a trusted member of staff. They may tell you when it happened, and you may be thinking to yourself that this member of staff was not even on shift on that date. But it doesn't matter what they tell you. Whatever they tell you, you have to accept what they've told you, and that's what you're going to report. We do not question them on, are you sure it's the right person? That person would never have done that. Are you sure you've got the name right? There will be an investigation carried out, but you don't carry out the investigation with the young person. So you allow them to tell you whatever it is they're going to tell you. Even if you're thinking to yourself, I'm pretty sure that didn't happen, we do not say that to the young person. We allow them to tell us their story. There'll be an investigation which will prove if this trusted member of staff was not even there, was not on shift, or maybe the young person's got the wrong name or the wrong date. In terms of reporting this, once you've had this conversation with the young person, if you've assured them that you will report it, then you're speaking to your line manager. Call your line manager, explain to them what has happened and what you've been told. They will probably ask you to document it, either on the house phone or the tablet, and send in the report to either the line manager or into the safeguarding officer or head office. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you actually are going to write down. This young person may have spent 5 minutes talking to you about what has been happening to them. What your line manager and the safeguarding officer are really going to want is a word-for-word documentation of what was said to you. You are probably not going to remember every single word that was said in the length of this 5-minute conversation. However, you will probably remember this little section of the conversation. This section of the conversation here, that you remember word for word, remember the words that the young person said to you, whether they were swearing or whatever, that is a section of the conversation that is really needed. These bits here where you weren't quite sure and your memory is patchy, this report is going to form part of a legal document that will need to be accurate. This is what you really need to include in that report. The exact words that the young person said when they were describing what was happening to them and who was doing it. This is what we call word-for-word reporting. And it needs to be accurate because this will form part of a document that will probably end up in court in the hands of lawyers. Lawyers will be looking at this to see if there are any discrepancies to ensure that the client has a fair trial and to ensure that the young person is represented correctly. So in terms of your reporting, they have to be word for word. Now, a question that often comes up is, well, how do we know if the young person is telling the truth? Because some young people make up allegations about members of staff. And that is a very good point. And when we move on to the live session again, we'll spend some time discussing that and talking about allegations, how and why they're made, and what you can do to prevent and reduce the risk of allegations being made against you while you're working with vulnerable young people. I hope that explains it, and I'll speak to you on the live session.